You're watching once again a YouTube video presentation of the University of Wyoming Center on Aging. I'm Scott Veach. I'm your host, and on this program we'll be discussing topics of interest for caregivers of loved ones with dementia. We hope that you will subscribe to the channel and you'll hit that thumbs up like button. Both of those actions help the channel to grow and allow us to reach more people. And if you'll tap that notification bell, you'll be alerted each time we upload a new program. And now, this is Once Again. We want to welcome you to part 2 of our discussion. Our guest is Kimberly Whelan, registered dietitian. She is on the West Coast. We hope that you had a chance to review part 1, which was posted about 2 weeks prior to this one. She is a registered dietitian. She specializes in behavioral change for wellness, weight loss, and chronic condition management. And we can tell you that she is passionate about supporting others to be their best selves, to eat and exercise for well-being during times of stress or when having little time to practice self-care. So in that self-care, we were talking about nutrition in part 1, and today in part 2, we're going to be talking about physical activity. Kimberly, this is a presentation that you made to our Wyoming Dementia Together group back in June of 2023. And in talking about the component of physical activity being so important to health and self-care, one of the things that you said that I thought was so interesting, you said it's important to keep it simple. So what do you mean when we talk about keeping it simple with physical activity?
Yeah, keeping it simple with physical activity. The one thing I really emphasize with everyone that I work with is move more. That's the keeping it simple part with physical activity. Oftentimes, people are thinking, I have to exercise, I have to go to the gym, I need special equipment, I need to ride a bike. And we don't give credit to how much our daily movement or just things that we can do during our day with our normal routine, how that can add to our health as well. So I like when I say keep it simple, it's that, and it's finding things that fit into your lifestyle.
And that could include, because one of the things you said, what works for you, walking the dog, does that count?
Yeah, walking the dog. It could be, I've had people combine their walking with grocery shopping, caregiver who gets a break to go grocery shopping. They might spend a few minutes walking around the store briskly before they start their grocery shopping. Someone who I've had people use cans of soup and stand in the kitchen and do some bicep curls and tricep presses or push-ups against a wall or a fridge, something that's heavy and doesn't move preferably, and incorporating that into, meal prep while they're standing there in the kitchen waiting for things to cook or boil.
You mentioned again something about physical activity that you mentioned in nutrition, and you talked about small steps. You're all about small steps, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm all about small steps, because what happens? We set those really big goals like our New Year's Day resolution, right? And they're very, lofty, and we have a lot of hope, but it fizzles out because we lose our way. And we need to break things down into smaller steps to keep our motivation fueled.
You and in talking about, let's go back and touch again on basic daily movement. And one of the things you said, that if I remember correctly, you said something about it's important to move throughout the day. It's important to. I'm trying to remember. I think you said maybe it's important to have some movement at least every hour. Is that?
I don't know if I said every hour, but breaking up that long sedentary time, because we know that they've had studies that show that someone who's an exerciser in the morning, they get up and they do an hour and then they sit the rest of the day in front of a computer, that puts them at as much risk as someone else who's sedentary all day and doesn't even do that 60 minutes. Yeah, that 60 minutes could help with endurance and strength, but the sitting is really the thing, that's long period of sedentary time that really put us at risk.
When you talk about at risk for what?
Yeah, heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, a lot of these chronic conditions that are lifestyle related. So when we're not moving, we're not getting things moving, we're not getting our heart rate up, we're not getting our bloodstream moving and getting, waste and toxins out of our body, we're just sitting. That has a big impact on our organs and on our heart health.
When you talk
And our
about,
brain.
I'm sorry?
And our brain, because
And our
we are
brain,
talking
yes.
about brains.
You, in talking about small steps, do small steps always have to lead to bigger steps, or can we stay with small steps?
Yeah, we can stay with small steps. I always say, the small steps are things that are realistic and achievable. And sometimes you hit the mark and you find that thing that works for you, 10 minutes, I'm going to go out for my 10-minute walk and come back, and I'm going to stay here and do that for a while. And generally people know when they're ready, like I'm ready, or someone's been talking to me about it and I need to maybe increase that 10 minutes. And if you've established a routine, that's when it's easier to add or build on that. So the small steps can lead to more. But like you said, sometimes maybe that's where it stays.
You also talked about arranging your world. What exactly
Mm.
does that mean?
Yeah. Well, if we think about how we're triggered by things in our environment, we often think of it as negatively related, right? Like I'm triggered by the chips in the pantry or the cookies on the counter. So likewise, we can also be triggered by positive things that trigger us to do positive behaviors, like move in our day, or eat healthy food. So if we're putting our walking shoes by the front door and I see them, oh, that's right, I was going to go for that walk today, or putting the dog's leash by the door, or a yoga mat in the living room, right? Maybe I sit there and watch TV with my loved one. And I don't need to just sit there. Maybe I'm going to do something on the yoga mat. So those are things in our environment that tell us that's right. I'm going to do some movement today and I'm going to break up my sedentary time.
And you also talked about the importance of recruiting support.
Hmm. Yes, recruiting support. So we look at recruiting support as a skill with behavior change, because there can be a lot of energy around recruiting support. People sometimes don't feel like they're going to get what they're going to ask for, or that people are going to, not want to help them, or that they don't deserve to have support. They need to do it all on their own. And so we really want, support really enables us to continue to be that caregiver, right? That if we're not getting support, and it empowers us to stay strong. I think that's what I said last time. Recruiting support is not because we're weak. We want to ask for support so we can stay strong. And I love that quote because I think it's so important. I have this piece of paper in front of me, and it's really important to be in the mindset that we want to stay strong. We don't do these things because we're weak. I don't arrange my environment because I have little willpower. Willpower is not consistent. So we want to arrange our environment to stay strong. We want to recruit support to stay strong. And that requires, I always say, asking for what you want. Tell people what you want and how they can support you. And then I always say, ask them and give them the choice to help you. Because even if we know they're going to help us, I always say, ask them, can you do this for me? And let them respond. Because generally then that really helps with the give and take of recruiting support.
You just mentioned something that I wanted to make sure that we touched on. And you said that it was important to work on your mindset. And you mentioned a couple of things just now. What is a mindset as it relates to self-care?
Yeah, so a mindset. When we have the mindset that we're going to take care of ourselves, then we are thinking, this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I take care of myself because I want to be healthy so I can do other things. Some people are in the mindset that this is hard, I don't deserve it. And so I don't ask for help. And I just sit here day after day, chugging away, knowing that my health is being affected. So I can be in the mindset that I'm not deserving, or I can be the mindset that I am deserving of help. I'm deserving of being healthy and living a good life, even as a caregiver. And so I do need to ask for support. So you more empowered to do things that help you be healthy when you're in a mindset that you're deserving and that you want to take care of yourself. That's a mindset. I want to take care of myself. I want to do what's right for me.
Okay, let's talk about that person then who wants to take care of himself. And you mentioned that you have worked with so many clients in your career. How does someone who wants to make the changes, how do they contact a registered dietitian? Is
Good
it usually by
question.
referrals? Do they have offices? What? How does it work?
Yes, I mean, there are some insurance companies, if you have, I know if you have, I'm not sure about a PPO, but generally you can talk with your primary physician. Some will refer you to a dietitian. Depends on if you're a HMO or a PPO as to what that might cost you. Depends on what chronic conditions you have and whether they're covered by insurance. And that covers meeting with a dietitian like diabetes or high blood pressure. You might get that covered. So I would generally ask your primary physician if they know of a dietitian. There are dietitians who are in private practice who work along with physicians. So that's where I'd start. You could also Google in your area what dietitians have private practice and are available to meet with you if you're going to pay out of pocket. They can also charge insurance. So again, it just depends on what health conditions you're dealing with. If you're healthy and it's just preventative, more than likely it'll probably just come out of your pocket.
Well, if you would like to contact registered dietitian Kimberly Whelan, we will have that information. You can do so through the Wyoming Dementia Together group. Thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, Scott. Thank you for having me.
We've been talking with Kimberly Whelan, registered dietitian, and this is actually part 2 of our Once Again program. And part 1 was posted several weeks ago, and we're pleased that she is with us today for this segment. You've been watching Once Again, a YouTube video presentation of the University of Wyoming Center on Aging. We hope, if you haven't done so already, that you'll subscribe to the channel and hit that thumbs up like button. Both of those actions help the channel to grow and allow us to reach more people. And if you'll tap that notification bell, you'll be alerted each time we upload a new video. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm Scott Veach. We'll see you again next time.